Hopefully everyone can hear me well. I just want to do a quick stream to kind of announce and kind of, I guess, break the news to some of you or somebody that professional wrestler Jon Huber, aka Mr. Brodie Lee, also known as Luke Harper from WWE, has passed away. Whoops, sorry about that. But Luke Harper, aka Mr. Brodie Lee from AEW, has passed away at the age of 41. This has been actually a really shocking turn of events in the past just few minutes, really. The news just broke on Twitter and Instagram. I believe his wife um, released a statement on Instagram announcing what had happened and announcing it was something to do with a lung problem that he was having, and he was in the hospital. He was surrounded by his family at the time that this all happened. Um, just again, very tragic turn of events. I'll get to some of the reaction, but I just wanted to share like my news. Literally just have found out about it just a few minutes ago, and it was just it was surreal because this is somebody who you expected to be on Dynamite. This is somebody who you expected to be there on Wednesday and entertain you, and then you just come to realization that it's all gone. And before people go to assume things up, it was announced that it was not COVID related. Um, so so it doesn't look like there's really a relation between this and COVID. It looks more so like outside complications that didn't have to do with that. Let me actually get to some of the reaction right now from Twitter. This is yeah. So this is Tony Khan from AEW. He just announced on Twitter, and I'll read it out to you guys as well. His words about Mr. Brodie Lee. I'm devastated by the loss of Jon Huber, known to fans as Mr. Brodie Lee, formerly Luke Harper. Jon was a great man. His family came first. His loving wife Amanda and their sons Brodie and Nolan. He loved the wrestling. He loved wrestling and was great at it. He loved you fans. Please keep him in your hearts. And that was Tony Khan, president and owner of AEW, weighing in. There's probably likely to be some sort of tribute show this week, but that's secondary compared to what's happening right now. This is a huge tragedy. Um, and I just yeah, I mean I'm at a loss for words. Mike Howard. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words as to what happened. I'll get to what his wife Amanda had to say because she also released a statement on Instagram, I believe, about Mr. Brodie Lee's death, and she was actually the one that broke it. And I'll actually pull that up right now. But yeah, Brodie Lee, he started off, or he really got onto the scene in mainstream, I guess you want to say, mainstream wrestling fans. A lot of them heard about him for the first time when he's with the Wyatt family in WWE. Before that, he was tearing it up on the Indies, and I believe he had a bunch of dates in Japan as well. But he wasn't, when he really got mainstream. It was interesting. He had one of, I guess, the most interesting looks. A lot of people said they reminded him, or he reminded them of, um, you know, Bruiser Brody, which is kind of the reason I believe that he chose the name Brodie Lee, and because Brody was an inspiration to him. But here, I just pulled up the link, or the text that his wife Amanda said, so I'll pull that up and read that to you guys. So here's what his wife had to say on Instagram. My best friend died today. I never wanted to write out those words. My heart is broken. The world saw him as the amazing Brodie Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper, but he was my best friend, my husband, the greatest father you would ever meet. No words can express the love I feel, or how heartbroken I am right now. He passed away surrounded by loved ones after a hard-fought battle with a non-COVID related lung issue. The Mayo Clinic is literally one of the best team of doctors and nurses in the world who surrounded me with constant love. On top of that, I can't express my love and admiration for the way AEW has treated not only my husband, but myself and my kids. She then goes on to thank several members of the organization. But that's basically the gist of that, and it's very sad considering, especially if you listen to a lot of interviews he did. If you listen to especially his interview with Chris Jericho on Talk Is Jericho, he this was a man who loved his family. He loved his family. He liked talking about his family, and and it's just sad to see it ripped away. It's sad to see, now a wife who has two young kids and has to now deal with the reality that her husband is not going to be there. It's sad for, it's sad for the kids especially too. And it's also sad for the wrestling community, but you got to remember that these people also have families. That Brodie Lee has a family that's not going to have, their dad, their husband around anymore, and it's heartbreaking, especially at the young age of 41. Like it's just, no one ever expects something like this to happen. We expected him to be around for like the next, at least like 8 years wrestling, and seeing where this Dark Order storyline, which was amazing for the pro wrestling business, was kind of like, it was. I like to always say it was the Wyatt family kind of done right, because you had this very charismatic character. Like Brodie was essentially playing a version of Bray Wyatt, but his own version that was completely unique and completely different in a way. But it was that same type of, cult leader character, and they were doing a really good job of playing it up, of having people join the Dark Order. Colt Cabana joined at one point. You know, they were trying to get Hangman Page most recently, and it's it's just really sad, I mean, storylines aside, it was just really sad to see someone who was, really finally getting that moment, because he talked about it in his interviews before, that he really didn't have a moment where he felt creatively satisfied up until he got to AEW. He didn't have a moment in his career where he, like, especially when he just came from WWE, like there he was just stifled and they wanted him to be, a hick redneck, right? But he wanted to play this very unique character, and get over, and he did in AEW, and that's the that's the tragedy of all this. Like, this happened at, right in the middle of his arguably his best run of his entire career, and this is just it's just really sad. There's a few more reactions that I'll go through as well, and then I'll kind of maybe do a rundown of his career. But I know that, yeah, this is just, I'm sorry, guys. This is like, I'm just at a loss for words right now because it's super sad. Okay, so here we go. So we have some tweets here from Sami Zayn. I'll pull up right now. Sorry, one man operation today, so I'm gonna be doing this myself. So as you can see right there, Sami Zayn just tweeted out right here. It says, "In utter disbelief of hearing the passing of Brodie Lee, I'm unable to process this. I can't believe it." And I think he kind of speaks for everyone in that. I don't think any of us can believe it. There you see, there you see Dave Meltzer right there. Just got word about Brodie Lee. This was about 50 minutes ago, passing away. This is beyond devastating. He was a good man who loved his family, and then that's very true. That's the biggest takeaway of all this. This is someone who loved his family immensely. His Dark Order, buddy Stu Grayson. Jon was genuinely one of the best, honest, and kindest men I've ever known. Sorry. He was like that the very first day I met him back in 2007, and was like that the very last day I saw him. I will always only have a good memories of him. I love you, man. Rip, Mr. Brodie Lee. Yeah, Cedric Alexander also letting us know his thoughts on this terrible breaking news. This has been covered by SportsCenter as well, Bleacher Report. Ryan Satin, of course, just released a statement. Yes, this is as you guys can see, this has just rocked the entire, not just the wrestling community, but I think the sports community, because this is like, this was just someone who was at the peak of his career. And I'll just talk, I guess, a little bit about, where the first time I heard of Brodie Lee. The first time I heard of Brodie Lee, I was on YouTube and I was watching this weird like I think it was like this wrestling thing in New Jersey. I forgot what it was. It was like something like a New Jersey pro wrestling company or something like that. It was just weird. I was just killing time and I saw this guy and he like it's weird because I saw this like, guy with mangy beard and all that kind of stuff and I was just like, oh whoa, this guy looks cool or whatever. And then little did I know that guy would end up being Brodie Lee. But like I saw this guy, he was really cool. And then I noticed that the same guy had been called up to WWE and gotten a developmental contract. And then he ended up, hooking up there with the Wyatt family. And that's, I guess, when I really got to see a lot of his work. That's when I like first really honed in on like his work and got to see what he can do. And I always thought that he was, I always liked Bray, but he was like the guy. He was in ring. I think he was the best member of the Wyatt family. I think he showed a lot more. I guess he showed a lot more poise. I guess in the ring, he was a lot. He was like just a lot. I guess better worker, but not to say that those guys aren't good workers, but he was like the best worker of that group, and it really showed. And he was charismatic whenever he would like come out of the corner and do that thing that he used to do. Like I would always laugh, and then he would go out there, he would act like the redneck that Vince McMahon wanted him to be, and then he would go out there and kick ass. And that's and he like that's the thing, he always stuck. And I remember that I believe it was 2016, 2017. They had an angle where they had a battle royal. The winner was going to end up going on to WrestleMania to face Bray Wyatt for the title. So I guess that was 2017. And Brodie Lee, then Luke Harper. Like I thought that was like a moment where he was going to get a huge push because they had him right there with AJ Styles. They had him, wrestling like one on one with AJ Styles, and I think they ended up doing some sort of schmoz where their feet landed at the same time at the end of the battle royal, and Brody ended up, or yeah, sorry, Luke Harper at the time ended up losing a match that would determine who went to WrestleMania to face Bray Wyatt. But that was, I always thought that was like a turning point. I was like, oh God, they made a new star. They made a new star finally, and they made it out of a guy who is charismatic. People like him. He had an interesting story. That's what people forget about that 2017 thing. He had an interesting story with Bray Wyatt. Formerly a member of the Wyatt family, formerly under his guys, and then he breaks out on his own and he rebels against his leader, the very person who brought him to the dance. And he rebels against everything he stood for, and he rebels against the very principles that he used to fight for alongside Bray Wyatt. And that was a moment where you could have turned him face, and he could have been, a main eventer. Like I'm not even kidding. He could have been a main eventer in that moment had they done things right. Because you could have easily have had him. He was getting pops. He was getting. He got over. He got over in 2017, and you could have had him going to to WrestleMania in that moment. But they went in a different direction. He ended up going back, getting back together with Eric Rowan at one point. They ended up reforming Y Family, I think, for a night or two. But it just never materialized after that. Like that was the high point of his WWE career. He also had a great match, I think, at TLC 2015 against Dolph Ziggler for the title, which was amazing. It was for the Intercontinental title. That was an amazing match. Like that's the match in WWE that sticks out in my mind for him. How did he pass away? Yeah. So I guess I'll say it again. So Brodie Lee passed away today at the age of 41. I read out a statement from his wife Amanda, who stated that he passed away from a non-COVID related lung issue. He was apparently in the hospital, surrounded by his family. Again, Brodie Lee passed away at the age of 41 due to a lung issue, non-COVID related. Just I guess a very sudden passing. And if you if you want to pull up the letter from Amanda, from his wife, it was actually very sad for me to read, honestly. But yeah, it does suck. It just sucks. He was my favorite member of the Dark Order. I think he was everyone's favorite member of the Dark Order, because like he was the guy. He was their leader. It's just immensely sad, guys. Just an immensely sad time. Yeah. I agree. Very sad. But yeah, but going back to Brodie, I guess, kind of highlighting his career. So I remember I think it was back in 2018. He started doing that whole, it's Wednesday. You know what that means? It's Tuesday. You know what that means? That kind of stuff, and like, that was really popping off on Twitter for a while. And I just remember thinking to myself, okay, this has got to have, like, I know who this guy is. I know, like, Luke Harper was always one of those, like, he's one of those, like, eccentric members, and like there was talk of him possibly getting released. I was like, okay, he might be, going to Ring of Honor or going on the Indies or something, because AEW wasn't around at that point. So the like, the thing was always, you know, um, the thing was always that you expected him to do something, go out and have success outside of WWE, which he eventually did. But I think like that was the thing that where people, especially online, took more notice than they would have. I think like it's like something as small as that. He kind of like, he was good at that psychology kind of thing. He got people's attention. He got them talking about him. Dave Meltzer was reporting, oh well, his contract's up and this and that, right? And he was just silent. He didn't post anything. He didn't do anything. That was like one of the smartest moves of his career, because he was able to he was able to he was able to really captivate the entire wrestling community by doing nothing. And in a way, he got over again just like that. And then he goes on to AEW. He starts the Dark Order. But and like he's eventually, I guess, he's he was note he was sorry introduced as the leader of the Dark Order is what happened. And that was the funny thing about that is, if you listen to his interview and Talk Is Jericho, that event was right around the time that COVID-19 had shut everything down. So, and originally that event was supposed to be in his hometown of Rochester, New York. So he was supposed to debut. There was supposed to be a huge pop and all of that. And in his interview with Talk Is Jericho, and it's really sad looking back now and thinking about it, he stated that, oh yeah, like, whenever this COVID thing is up and, when we have fans back, I can't wait to go out there and feel the pop. And yeah, it's just extremely sad that'll probably never happen. Shocked, learned the news from WrestleMania. Yeah, this year I don't think we can take much more. And I lost my uncle. I'm sorry about that. My cousin now him. So sorry about that, Marcus. Um, as well as the great Danny Hodge. Yep, did lose Danny Hodge. 2020, enough is enough. Yeah, and just terrible cap to the year. Just a terrible cap to the year, man. Like, you started off the entire, like, rainforest burning down. You had obviously the passing of Kobe Bryant is one that sticks out for me, as well as the passing of Chadwick Boseman later, and countless other people. It's just very sad. Yeah, it's just very sad. Who's going to be the new leader of the Dark Order? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's something like they'll figure out, and like that's down the line. Right now, it's just, I think the most important thing right now is just to um remember him and pay homage to him. And I think you're gonna probably see something like that happen this week on AEW Dynamite. There's gonna be some sort of memorial show. You might even see um Raw do something like that on Monday night, because whether they like it or not, he was a huge part of that. Again, if you're just joining us, Mr. Brodie Lee passed away at the age of 41. According to his wife, it was due to lung complications that were not COVID related. Again, Mr. Brodie Lee passes away at the age of 41 due to lung complications that was not COVID related. He was apparently in the hospital, surrounded by his family at the time of his passing. Seems to be a very sudden event. New. Well, I would say one the last time. Mr. Brodie Lee just passed away at the age of 41 due to non-COVID related lung problems. He was surrounded by his family. His wife on Instagram, Amanda, his wife, released a statement. I think I'll probably read that out again for those of you who just joined us. So that we can so you guys can kind of be in the loop on exactly what happened here. And I'll just pull that up. Just give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm stuttering or having trouble gaining my thoughts. This is like it for me too. It's like just very shocking. Didn't obviously did not expect this at all. Like this isn't even one of those older people like like if one of the older wrestlers died, you kind of like yeah. I'm sorry. I'll just read out the statement. This is from his wife Amanda. My best friend died today. I never wanted to write out those words. My heart is broken. Um, yeah, I think the heart of a lot of people are broken. Sorry about that, guys. My heart is broken. Um, the world saw him as the amazing Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper. He, but he was my best friend, my husband, and the greatest father you would ever meet. No words can express the love I feel or how broken I am right now. He passed away surrounded by loved ones after a hard fought battle with a non COVID related lung issue. The Mayo Clinic is literally one of the best teams of doctors and nurses in the world who surrounded me with constant love. On top of that, I expressed my love and admiration for the way AEW has treated not only my husband, but myself and my kids. And there were a few other people who let people know. Obviously, Bleacher Report covered this. Sports Center also mentioned it. This is from Stu Grayson from the Dark Order. Jon was genuinely one of the best, honest, and kindest men I've ever met. He was like that from the very first day I met him back in 2007, and was like that the very last day I saw him. I'll always have good memories of him. I love you, man. R.I.P. Mr. Brodie Lee. Impact Wrestling, of course. He meant everything, even to companies and people who didn't meet him or didn't see him. He meant a lot to them, and that's what's really tragic about this. This was someone who was beloved and respected. By many in the wrestling community. Dave Meltzer also said this right here. Just got word about Brodie Lee passing away. This is beyond devastating. He was a good man who loved his family. And again, yeah, like we cannot underemphasize this enough. Brodie Lee loved his family. And I always say people should listen to that Talk Is Jericho interview that he did. It's true, bro. Like he loved his family a lot. He talked about them. He talked about going back to them when he was taking time off and just having fun and having fun being a dad. And we like a lot of times we forget that these wrestlers who we admire and respect and in many ways love also have families outside and lives outside of the business. And it's that's why this also makes it a little tragic because it's real at the end of the day. Sami Zayn, of course, also long time friend of Brodie Lee, tweeted this out. He said, "In utter disbelief of hearing the passing of Brodie Lee, I'm unable to process this. I can't believe it." I do believe WWE also made a statement. I'll see if that's there. Um, Not sure, but Wrestle Talk obviously said something. I think WWE might have released a statement. I'll look that up for you guys just very quickly. That's yeah. So I they've been retweeting a lot of people, I guess, and about this specific issue. So this is probably something good to look at. Start with Renee Young, absolutely heartbroken, sending much love to Brodie and his family. Ivar, our hashtag RIP Brodie Lee. Kayla Braxton, sending her regards. Tom Phillips. Tony Nese, Johnny Gargano. This is heartbreaking. I'm legit lost for words right now. Such a kind, talented dude. Absolutely one of a kind. RIP Brodie Lee. The Bollywood Boys. Aleister Black. This is all a grotesque nightmare on a scale none of us can possibly comprehend. This year has done nothing but take. And I think we are all empty, tired, and drained. Sleep well, my friend. Thank you so much for the road trip and the advice throughout the years. You were golden. This is sad. Again, a lot of people are asking in the chat, so I'll say it one more time. Mr. Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper, Hopefully it's working better now. So hopefully you guys can hear me better. Sorry about that. Um, Still dead? All right. Well, I said exactly what I was gonna say.